Sheena Ringo, we are continuing our track by track listen through to the second album, Show So Strip, and I'm really enjoying this, but I'm actually secretly still looking forward to the third album, which I think I've read. I think I'm going to really enjoy that. I think that's probably going to be my favourite one. That's what I've been led to feel. But as we continue Show So Strip, we are now getting close to the end. And yes, we're going to be listening to Byosho Public, which is Sickbed Public. That's the way the name is officially translated. I've got to be honest, I am aware that between the first album, Musai Moratorium, and Show So Strip, that Sheena Ringo herself spent a bit of time in hospital for various things. I'm one of those people who, when people spend time in hospital, obviously you wish they're doing well, but I tend to not pry too much into the details and reasons why. But given the fact that she was in hospital, I think there's probably an extra layer to this that I'm hopefully going to look forward to hearing in here. But this is an album that has, as we've discussed in the comments and through the various reactions, really shown two sides. And from what you guys have suggested, that time she spent in hospital might actually have divided up the time she spent working on this album. And that's why we've got some of the songs that have this very intriguingly of the time style production, songs like the one we just heard, Tidbits, and various other songs towards the beginning of the album. But then also we've got the more raw and rocking sounds like Gips, Crime and Punishment, Identity, that feel a little bit more like the Sheena Ringo, probably of that first album, Musai Moratorium, feel more like a direct evolution of that. But there's certainly a lot of things going on this one. Anyway, let's see what we get with Byosho Public, and we'll talk a little bit more about that after we've listened to it. Here we go. Oh yes, I forgot. Coming straight in. Nice, bring the bass down an octave. Interesting start. Definitely giving room to explode. This is definitely a callback to a certain song off of Musai Moratorium. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Oh, lovely. Loving that use of the organ alongside all the distorted sounds. Loving the chorus, loving the way it bursts into the chorus, the whole thing. Alright, bridge time. You make or break my song here. That distorted organ sound is so good. Somewhere between the guitar and the distorted organ. That's a really cool break. Ah man, this is so joyful in its own weird way. And again ending with the chaos so we can go into the next track. All right, as usual, going to stop it before the next track comes on, but absolutely 110%. That one, that was a bundle of joy. I was a bit unsure after the first few seconds, but then it really exploded. Because basically, the thing that I think really makes this song work so well is that it plays towards something that at this point Sheena Ringo has seriously built up as a very prominent and powerful part of her sound, which is the ability to mix the chaotic with the, I want to say anthemic, but more like the rousingly sing-alongable kind of parts of the song, which are usually fueled by a kind of a rock energy. It's kind of like a singing along in a cathartic way is what the choruses of her songs tend to be about, kind of like letting it all out, letting the emotion out. And so having those distorted parts of the songs, or the start parts of the songs that sound a little bit off kilter, off key, a bit strange, having those give you a clear sort of journey in a lot of her songs. You go from an uneasy, odd, slightly bizarre sounding part of the song, usually the verse, usually the beginning of the song, and then you go into a chorus that allows you to sort of sing with your energy and really let it out. I mean, that even plays into something as simple as the Journey on Gips, and Gips doesn't really have any crazy distorted sounds, but how in the verse that has a tense piano which is always hitting dum 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 dum, kind of gives you that soundtrack like feeling of tension, and then the chorus is just where you let it all out. So she's very good at building that up and doing it in various different ways in her different songs, but it's clearly something she does like doing. And yeah, this song does it in a way that sonically, this really, to me, it feels like a mirror of Kofukuron from the first album, from Mosaic Moratorium. I'm pretty sure it's Kofukuron I'm thinking of. But it's like melodically, it's extremely similar. And tonally, it's got that feeling as well. You know, similarly, it has the kind of frustrated lyrics. It has the screams in this as well. The funny thing is that this song actually, you know, I mean, whenever I do one of these reviews, someone will get in the comments and tell me, well, actually, Howard, this one was written when she was 14, or this one was written when she was a fetus. And, you know, find out that a lot of her songs are written a long time in advance. And it's not uncommon for an artist who, you know, most artists, they don't just write a set of songs, they're always writing ideas. And you can get a lot of artists who'll still be releasing songs that were kind of in their genesis before the artist was even signed. So there'll be a lot of ideas that maybe the person came up with when they were a teenager that don't hit fruition until maybe the third or fourth album, when they've kind of grown a bit and worked out how to better use that idea they once had and were inspired by but couldn't complete. In this particular case, this really to me feels like it's either a song that was written back in that era, back at the same sort of time she was writing things like Kofukuron, or it's a direct evolution of that, as in, you know, she probably liked what she did with those kind of songs and wanted to try something similar but with its own, you know, slightly evolved feeling on this album. And so, yeah, we have a song which is definitely in many ways has all of the same telltale points, but does it here by very much leaning into the distortion. So the verse, it's all about in the verse that sense of distortion. Again, we've got like little effects, they're kind of simple effects that can be done analog with like an analog sort of off-on chopper, a little bit of modulation to affect the pitch in places, lots of distortion on lots of sounds. And again, we also have a lot of those blues rock sounds in here, like the bass, very prominent. Also walking around kind of bass, it's got a bit of swag to it. And then you combine that with the use of the electric organ, which I absolutely love how they put that in here. These are signs of Sheena Ringo referencing a lot of what personally I would consider to be like sort of 70s blues rock, again using these genres fairly broadly, but I think you can kind of tell what I'm kind of leaning into, you know, the sort of the sort of rock that first of all came about with those mid-tempo sort of swagging riffs, the chunky bass lines, the distorted keyboards and electric organs, but they weren't metal, they just kind of had this sort of grit to them, and this is clearly what's inspiring her a lot here. This song, it really, therefore, I would say it's not one of those songs where it's doing anything we haven't heard from her before. If anything, you could say this is a song that's more celebrating certain aspects of the Sheena Ringo formula rather than reinventing any of it. But I do feel like it really works well. It's a good idea to put a song like this quite near to the end of the album, because again, it's a song which is it's not going to be anything that anyone's going to go, oh, that's a real surprise. But it's more like a charming like reminder for people who are fans as you get to the end of the album. Here's a song that kind of calls back to some of the things you've heard earlier in the album. It calls back to some of the things you heard on the first album. It's almost like it's starting to bring you towards the end of Show So Stripped by, if you like, like you do at the end of a movie where all the storyline threads are coming together. That's kind of what this one feels like. It feels like it's starting to come to that point where everything we've learned so far is coming together on this song. Sorry if I'm kind of giving like a vague attempt at context to this, but I just think this song is interestingly positioned towards the end of the album. And I think, again, as I often say, so many of the artists I like and really enjoy, they treat albums as actual things that are structured and created with a set list, a purpose, where the songs flow in a certain order. I know that is something that Sheena Ringo does, and so I feel like this song is absolutely calling back a little bit to the beginning of the album and to previous albums, especially, well, to the previous album especially. I really enjoyed this. As I say, not reinventing the wheel, not one that I would maybe seek out on its own just because of the fact that, she's got songs like Cove Hooker on and such like that I'd probably go to first. But a song that I think it definitely does celebrate a lot of her best qualities. Now, talking of the end of the album, next song is a single. I'm looking forward to seeing what we get from that. Been a while since we had a music video. I know some of these songs have music videos and I completely missed them, but it's not my fault. I'm following the official playlist. Anyway, as always, if you want to see that, remember to get into the comments or remember to subscribe or all that YouTubery stuff. I'll see you in the next video. But until I do, thank you so much for viewing. And for now, ciao, ciao.